Well, that's after one false start. Now we are live. Welcome to the Dumbfounded dipshits podcast. We are late today because I have a house full of sick children. As you know, I had COVID. I've had COVID for like 3 weeks now, basically. And it just won't go away. I can't get rid of this
Still
cough.
lingering.
Oh my
Still
God,
lingering.
this is horrible, guys.
COVID is the gift that keeps on giving.
It's not.
And you're hearing about this, like these long COVID studies that you're seeing now, like how many people just get COVID and just have COVID.
Long COVID, long COVID.
Yeah.
I was reading about it, and apparently it affects like 4% of the people with COVID. Yeah, fuck you. I'm that 4%, I guess.
Well, I mean, it has gone away. Most people it goes away, but there have been people who got it like way back, like OG got it and still have
issues,
lingering issues.
It's crazy, absolutely insane. So a few things in the news today. Well, we'll start right off with see, where is this? Where'd it go? Let me share the screen. We'll jump right into this. So this chick has been released today.
Oh man, this is one of my favorite true crime documentaries series. Was like now it's like there's so many of them, but the one about Gypsy Rose, right? And that whole Munchausen mom fucking like fake ailments. She was like a Make-A-Wish kid. Like, I think she holds the record for Make-A-Wishes or some shit. You know what I mean?
I said the same thing, Hilston. So when I heard she got out and I looked online, people were like, I can't believe she got out already. And I'm like, already? She shouldn't have been in jail in the first place. First off, she didn't kill her mother. The boyfriend did.
The boyfriend did it, yeah.
Sure, she might have what's the word? Coerced
him, yeah, which still, I think that's still taking part in it. She didn't kill her mom.
She was the victim.
She had her mom killed. She was the long-term victim.
Yes.
But ultimately, her mom, in a sense, and this is the public opinion you're talking about, a lot of people believe her mom reaped what she sowed.
Yes, and apparently the mother is allegedly tried to kill her stepmother.
Yes.
At one point, her and her daughter were living with her father and her stepmother.
Was that in that movie? Was that in the movie version? You ever see the movie?
Yes. I don't remember if it was in the movie or not, but I know that she was putting rat poison in the stepmother's food, making her sick. And when she moved out, the stepmother magically got better. So clearly, she was definitely poisoning her stepmother. And yes, I agree with that. It was really self-defense.
It's sort of, I feel like, I don't like the self-defense thing because I think that like the assault was already over with. But I feel like,
well, yeah, because she ran away. She ran away with the boyfriend.
In a way, morally, it wasn't exactly the right thing to do, but morally, it was understandable why it happened. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. It's a weird fucking gray area where it's like, all right, nobody should really be plotting on murdering anybody or having anybody murdered. Really, that should still be illegal. What?
Yeah, but there's just some people that you can say had it coming.
Exactly. Which I think is the reason why she got such a short sentence. I think she sort of could have been up for more time, because how long did she really do? Like 7 years or something like that?
She was, so I was reading it. Her boyfriend got life plus 25 years. So
forever,
if he has a heart attack in jail, dies, and then they revive him, that's life then, but then he still has 25 years to do. So he got life plus 25 years. She only got 10 years for second-degree murder. So she served 7 of the 10 years. So she served like more than 50% of the sentence.
They got to kill him, bring him back to life, and then serve another 25 years.
That's right? If he dies, yeah.
I never ever got sentencing. Like, if they get the first life sentence, just be like, okay, yeah, and he gets a life sentence for all of it, but we all know what it is. Could we just say at the end of the day, he's not ever getting out of jail? Or there's no hope. Yeah. But they say concurrent, consecutive. They use all these terms. and they just like stack sentences on the after 30 victims you're sentenced for. It's like just say ditto or have
right. I know
like
I've heard where they've given people like 4 life sentences. It's like, wait, so how is this person going to live 4 lifetimes? They're not.
Are they really? I mean, understood that they are paying for their crimes for being in.
Well, no, you're already.
Life.
Hold on, Hailston. You're already in prison, so you would have to do that in prison 8 times and survive, and then you would technically be free to go because you served 8 lives.
Oh, so check this out, right? Let's just say you are like how Catwoman was in like Batman Returns, and you actually have like 9 lives or some shit, and you're serving 4 life sentences. Let's use your 4, right? Your 4 life sentences, and like you could come back to life after dying, but you have like a finite time. You could be like, well, I have like 9 lives, so I could just like unalive myself, as Hiddleston said, right, and come back to life, be revived, and just be done with the next life sentence. And then on the 5th time that you come back alive, right, like on the 4th revive, would it be? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
In gamer terms, on the 4th revive. That's it. You're done. You don't have to spend any more time in jail.
Yeah, now, that's your life sentences. That's all of them.
People flatline and are like, "Oh, this person was clinically dead, and we revived them." If that happens and you're in prison,
that's life.
You're only serving 1 life sentence. Shouldn't your clock restart? Your life is over.
I think that's how it goes. I think that's why they give them life plus 25 or 2 life sentences. It's like, how do you give them 2?
If you're revived and you're considered like dead, and you're revived and you come back and you're alive and you were considered dead for like a minute or 2 minutes, is that sentence thereby legally over then that first life sentence?
Hold on, let me see this. Share this instead. This sentence means that the offender must spend the rest of their life in prison. Okay, but what happens if I die and I'm revived? Let's see. What happens if I die and
revived?
I am revived. Technically speaking, a life sentence ends when the person's natural life. But one could simply argue that being revived isn't starting a new natural life, but continuing an existing natural life. Okay, so it doesn't actually work.
So they're saying in the Hindu terms of reincarnation.
So
it's
saying
the life sentence they're talking about.
No, but so then by that definition, there's no point of giving them 2 life sentences.
They're saying it's Hindu reincarnation and not Dr. Frankenstein, right? That's what they're saying. Like, if you're Frankenstein back alive, your life sentence isn't over. You're just going to continue living out your life sentence because you were just woken back up. You're not dead and then re-alive. If you're like Hindu reincarnation and you die as a human and you're reincarnated as, let's just say, a stick bug, you then, if you have 2 life sentences, that stick bug that is you has to go back to prison for that second life sentence because your first life sentence is over.
I have no idea how we got to the stick bug, Ryan. I have no idea how you went from being in prison to dying to becoming a stick bug and going back to prison.
Stick bug prisoner.
Hey, the son of Sam Killer just died. I hear he got reincarnated to a stick figure in Prospect Park on the bench by the whatever. Let's go get him and bring him back to jail. Get that stick bug now.
Or it could be like a manta ray, or it could just be anything. It could be.
Imagine they're reincarnated as a Japanese one of those beetles, the whatchamacallit, the red lantern beetle, whatever it's called. The lanternfly. Yeah, they're everywhere now. That I saw
everywhere in Chicago, Philly, not just New York. Well, New York, you guys got that. How were the floods? You guys look like fucking Noah's Ark.
All right, so I don't see anything by me because I'm above sea level. When Hurricane Sandy hit us, I didn't really have any issues. The 7-Eleven I went to buy blunts during the hurricane, they had issues. They were open during the hurricane. They put wooden boards on their windows because they apparently stay open due natural disasters to be able to provide people.
Optimos and Tiamos would always be open during the blizzard of, what was it, 2011? You remember when all MTA shut down for 3 days?
Yes.
Bloomberg, I think, was still mayor, right? And they shut down the MTA for 3 days. There were buses that were abandoned in the middle of the avenue. There was like 5 foot to 10-foot snow drifts all over the city. And it was about 3 feet of snow that I think we got. Every bodega was open. Every fucking corner store, Tiamo, Optimo, all of them were open. Bagel stores, there were bagel stores that were open. They were making bagels. Nobody was making deliveries, but whatever stock they had, they were just fucking selling. Because some of those motherfuckers would live in that same building that housed the whatchamacallit, the storefront. You know what I mean? So they would already be on duty. Or somebody would have already been there.
With the pounding rain. CBS 2's Ali Bauman live
here now, but the water was so high earlier that one restaurant owner told me that she would have had to swim through.
I want to point out something. Oh, I'm not even sharing the screen. Can you even hear that?
I heard what you played, but you didn't share the screen.
I'm a knucklehead. Jesus Christ. Oh, I am sharing it. It's just not up. So apparently, it's still not up.
News report.
What's going on here? There we go. It still didn't show. That was so weird. I'm off today. So,
Park Slope got fucked up.
Full disclosure, this wasn't a hurricane. This was barely a tropical storm.
No, it was just a regular storm.
It just so happened that like the position of the moon and where the Earth is in space, where the moon is, it pulled. I'm talking out my ass. I just read this somewhere. It was the perfect setup for disaster.
Yeah.
But you can't deny that global warming isn't real and the weather's getting worse. Who knows if it's man-made or not? But
it's just like the combo down here in South Florida. They have the king tides, which is actually like a lunar / hot, like a ebb and flow of just the ocean. And Fort Lauderdale be getting flooded, but we don't get flooded where I am. You know, in Coconut Creek, we don't get flooded. We don't get flooded in Coral Springs. People by the coast, they get flooded.
Like Tampa gets flooded, but my dad's just north of Tampa, and he doesn't get flooded.
This is the thing about New York City that I learned and then relearned, because, you know, as a stoner, right? You learn things, and then you forget you learned them. New York City, right? For example, a lot of streets were named after the creeks and the streams and the estuaries that would run through Manhattan, Brooklyn.
Yes, that aren't there anymore.
The name Brooklyn means broken land in Dutch, and it meant because all the streams that were running through it, the land looked broken.
Well, yes, if you look at the area that you used to live and my grandmother currently lives, that whole area before they developed it was a marshland.
Marshlands. So there's waterways that run underneath that were built over that are still running.
Which is why during Hurricane Sandy in Sheepshead Bay, they were like, "Oh, a tidal wave came in." I'm like, "No, a tidal wave didn't come in. The water came back. It was there hundreds of years ago. You developed your land and put stuff there, and then it came back." On
top of it. Yep.
So the same thing happened with this storm. It flooded all the same areas that were flooded during Hurricane Sandy. You had areas of Sheepshead Bay that were flooded. You had areas of Park Slope. You had
Garrettson Beach. How was Garrettson Beach?
I didn't hear stories about Garrettson Beach.
That could be telling.
Lower Manhattan.
Has anybody survived?
No, they definitely survived. Garrettson Beach is gone. Everyone's dead, and no one missed them. I'm kidding.
That's fucked up, Mike.
Yeah,
I'd miss some Garrettson.
Where I grew up in Marine Park, there was always a rivalry with Garrettson Beach
and Marine Park.
Yes, and the Marine Park kids called them beach rats, and no one wanted to have anything to do with them, and they looked at them like white trash, but they had no problem going to Garrettson Beach to party with them. It made no fucking sense.
That's called old-fashioned Brooklyn inner white racism.
Right? Because I remember I went to a beach party in Garrettson Beach. I had a blast, and I went to hang out with my other friend the next day, and he's like, "You hung out with those beach rats?" I'm like, dude,
I had good times in Garrettson Beach.
What was the problem?
I'm a Bensonhurst guy, and I met Garrettson Beach friends and always had a good time with Garrettson Beach.
Yeah, I never had an issue, but it was always a weird thing with
Marine Park people as well. But I've met a lot of hoity-toity cunts from Marine Park.
Oh, I don't like. I never. Okay, I had.
Truth be told,
not that it even matters anymore because it was childish bullshit. But I had so much beef with MPB, the Marine Park kids, Marine Park boys, whatever the name of the gang was, It got to the point where, like, they wanted to.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't? You never heard of MPB?
Nah, I'm not cool like that. I'm sorry, I'm a nerd.
I did graffiti, and that's what is a graffiti
You
thing.
did it? Does one do graffiti, or I am a graffiti artist?
I was not an artist. I was what you would call a bomber because I would get my name as much as people hated my shit and they called me a toy, which means doesn't look good. I would get my shit on rooftops. I would get my shit anywhere, and I was everywhere. So you can't really say you can't like talk shit because I'm everywhere. But anyway, so I'm hanging out.
You would go for gusto in the location and what you hit rather than what your shit looked like.
Exactly.
Is what you're saying. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right, I understand.
I had rooftops. I had on the sides of highways. I had mad shit up. So I remember the Marine Park kids had beef with me because my tag was everywhere. And like, who is this kid? He has no right to bomb us or in our neighborhood or whatever. It's not your neighborhood. I live there too. Anyway, so I'm hanging out at U Park. You know where U Park is? The park.
Yes.
Anyway, so I'm hanging out. Why did I ask you if you know where U Park is? Anyway, I'm hanging out at U Park. And one Marine Park kid comes in and points and goes on the cell phone or beeper or whatever it was at the time. And he starts pointing. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Then like 8 of them show up and they want to jump me, but they don't jump me. There's 8 of them, one of me. I'm with like a few of my friends, but we're outnumbered. They don't jump us, but instead they start like threatening us. Like, oh, you guys are lucky. You're lucky I'm on parole. You're lucky. And one of the kids is like, I forgot what his tag was, but he's like, you're lucky I didn't know who you were when I got locked up because I would have snitched on you. And I'm sitting there going, so you're openly admitting you're a snitch. What the fuck is going on? And at that point, here's a funny story. You ready for this?
That's like the hood Twilight Zone. Like, what the fuck? This is Bizarro Land.
This is straight racism too, and I forgot this even happened till this very moment. At that point,
straight racism as opposed to gay racism.
Exactly.
Like what kind of racism are you talking about?
Well, because it was with a girl.
So straight racism.
Yes.
So straight racism. Okay.
Anyway, so a mutual friend of ours who happens to be not white, I was dating at the time.
Okay.
And I was with them at the park.
Oh, you had a black girlfriend.
Yes. And I was with them at the park.
Your ex-girlfriend was black.
Thanks. I was with them at the park with my ex-girlfriend, but we were girlfriends at the time, right? And these motherfuckers had the nerve to come up to me and go, what the fuck you doing, bro? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you can't be dating her. That's wrong. I'm like, literally, these kids saying this to me. And I'm like, you came
Is
first
this
off,
the fucking Bronx Tale? What the fuck is going on, dude?
I'm like, first off, exactly. I'm like, first off, you guys came here to jump me. You're too pussy to even jump me.
Mike, did you open up the sassy, put your hand on your hip and go, this is the 90s. Get with it.
No, I was confused.
Say that?
I was fucking confused. I was just like, what? These racist motherfuckers. I'm like, you don't even know I'm not even technically white. I'm Puerto Rican and Italian. What?
Wow, Mike, these are technicalities, but you were very white presenting.
Yes. We discussed this. But like, I remember this happening, and then I remember I leave, and I'm like, wow, these bitches couldn't even jump me, and instead talking shit. So then I go like to I used to hang out on Kimball Street with the Kimball Street kids, and I go to Kimball Street, and like 4 or 5 of them, they're minorities, and I tell them what happened. And they're like,
why you gotta say it like that? Minorities.
Because they weren't
people of color. Were they people of color?
They weren't. They were mixed. Like 2 of them were Spanish or Dominican. 2 of them were maybe black. 1 of them was Chinese. It was like different. But
you had the Captain Planet's Planeteers as friends.
Yes,
is so what you're saying.
I literally leave the park and go tell them what happened because I go meet up with them.
Like, you guys were the Power Rangers.
Yes. But we had 2 Yellow Rangers. Anyway,
you were one bald guy in a wheelchair away from being the X-Men, is what you're saying.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, I go tell them, and they get fucking pissed, and they go, "Yo, let's go. We're gonna go to that fucking park. We're gonna jump them." I'm like, "What did I just start?" So they all go to the park in a car, like fucking Bronxtown type shit. All pull up in their little Cadillac. And was it a Cadillac? No, it was a Lincoln Mark 7. Which kind of looks like a Cadillac.
Damn, you know what sucks, dude? I got beat down by guys who jumped out of Buicks and Oldsmobiles.
Yeah, for real. So
like
anyway,
I had shitty car beat downs. That sucks. I would have loved to get a Cadillac beat down.
They go to the park.
Been nice.
They go to the park to jump these kids, even though they're probably not outnumbered. They're probably even numbers, so wouldn't be proper jumping anyway. And the kids are gone. They left already. And they come back to me and like, do you know where they live? I'm like, yo, it's not going that far. You're not going to their house to find out where they live. It's not that big of a deal. And then one kid, his name was Ricky. He actually tried out for the minor league Mets when they had open training or something.
Open tryouts.
Back in like 2004.
Okay.
2005 or maybe even 2003. Anyway.
Baseball dreams. He
didn't make it. He didn't make it. He was so pissed because he's like, yo, the fact that you had to put up with that bullshit And it's like he's like, this is your first girlfriend, man. That's so like fucked up. And I'm like, I know, it's like 2004. What the fuck's going on? But it's just
to think racism would exist then as such. But do you listen?
Racism.
You know what? Like
always existed.
It's going to. This is the sad fact, right? Is that it will still exist when the races that currently are around now are gone because everybody's inbred out and bred in and bred out and bred in and bred out. And let's just say it will bred out. Oh, bred out and 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 bred out.
That's not what inbreeding is, Ryan.
No, I just meant mixing in general. I was just trying to make anyway. So it's like eventually people will queue off to other dude. I was listening to something, or maybe somebody was talking about like the whole thing with Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, right? And like why they split and how it is like in a way it's racism, even though it's like based on religion, but it's like white people being racist against other white people on the same island. They're all the same people.
It's the same thing in Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
you have the light-skinned Puerto Ricans hate the dark-skinned Puerto Ricans, and
and that happens. Yeah, same thing in Asia. There's so many different cliques and sects and all that. Well, same thing happens in Africa.
I used to work with a Chinese guy that he's like, I fucking hate the communist Chinese people. You could tell which one they are by the way they dress, and he's like, fuck those people, and I'm like that might be racist.
You can't. It is, and the thing is, why it will always like exist. Sad. It's a sad truth. It's a sad truth. I'm not making a positive out of this. It's negative. It's completely negative. This sucks. Is that it won't go away? Is because people will find reasons to sort of subclassify themselves or others to make others happen. Because if there aren't any others, people start malfunctioning.
How did we get into this whole racism talk when we were talking about floods? Oh, because we talked about Marine Park, and then I talked about yes.
Floods, beatdowns. So let's
actually watch the video of these floods.
Reach her front door, and once those waters went down, well, this is what was left of her outdoor dining structure.
I don't.
And this is just one New Yorker story.
I want to see the
whether
video.
You were
there we
driving
go.
up, whether you were driving up.
I just want to point out, everyone, your cars are not made to do that. At least most of yours. I have a friend that has a Jeep Renegade or Jeep something, but it's the off-road edition. It has a snorkel. It's made for that. These cars are not made for that.
The FDR or chasing waterfalls on the subway, you were almost certainly affected by the unending downpour in New York City Friday.
Unlikely. The bus drove in the water because they have to still do their routes, and it basically was underwater almost.
Get a cab. That's crazy. The bus is crazy.
Commuters struggled to get to and from work with most subway lines disrupted and Metro North fully suspended for hours out of Manhattan.
There are 3,500 buses out there. Overwhelmingly, they are the lion's share of our mass transit right now.
New Yorkers were urged to stay home, but even home wasn't safe for many basement apartments in Brooklyn when sewer systems backed up and poured out of people's toilets and tubs.
Jesus
Mattresses were destroyed. Furniture was destroyed.
I used to live in 2 basement apartments. I had 2 apartments that were basement apartments.
I was just going to say something. I don't care about this guy and his apartment.
You know
why?
This dude.
You know why? It says Williamsburg resident, and he's not a fucking New Yorker. He was not born here.
No.
If you wanted to avoid the storm, you could have went back to Ohio, where you're from.
The sanitation concerns.
The water actually comes back in through the main sewer line into the basement, and it shoots like a frickin' geyser.
Kelly Hayes owns Gowanus Gardens in Park Slope.
She's from Brooklyn.
Friday morning, sewage filled her restaurant's basement, and outside, floodwaters peaked at over 3 feet, drowning her outdoor dining structure and leaving it in pieces.
It cost me $5,000 to $10,000 just to have the garbage hauled away. So that's not even like building my business back.
Hayes says by the time she got any kind of a...
To be quite honest with you, those outdoor dining structures are rat breeding grounds, and I think. And this is somebody I know. Shut the fuck up, Brian. You don't live here anymore. But you know what? I come back to visit often, and I spend my money there. So shut the fuck up, okay? You want me to come back and add to the economy? I'm trying to make a positive. I go to New York and I spend money. So when I go to New York and spend money, and I see rats running underneath these motherfucking things every fucking time I'm there for the last 3 years, You got to get rid of them. They're taking up parking spaces. Get rid of them. They're not even used. Half the times I walk past these things, they're empty.
They're not.
Aside from 2021, they've been empty since 2021, 22, or whatever.
It's insane. COVID's over too. You can, Well,
I mean, not for you.
Well, okay. The scare of COVID, the fear mongering of COVID is over now. So you can kind of get rid of these things.
Yeah, like eat inside, I feel bad that this lady's got a
emergency alert from the city. It was too late.
But
like that.
Another thing I'll talk about it
Flash
later.
flooding is happening now, and we were already underwater.
The Brooklyn Borough president and public
He's the Brooklyn Borough president.
Advocate are now criticizing.
You remember Marty Markowitz?
Yes.
Marty Markowitz was the Brooklyn Borough president.
I exterminated his mansion in Bay Ridge, I think it was.
Yeah, probably by what Colonial or Ridge Boulevard.
Yeah, somewhere over there. It was a nice big house over there.
But they call his lack of urgency before the storm.
You should probably prep to have a press comment in the early morning so we can update people on where we are.
Mayor Adams defends his administration sent out notifications Thursday afternoon.
One would have to be under a rock that didn't know that the storms were coming in this city.
After the remnants of Hurricane Ida slammed our
area
years ago,
he was rock shaming.
He's horrible.
Those who didn't know how bad the rain was going to be.
He's fucking horrible.
He shamed a population of people in his city, voters.
Yes, and they elected him. I mean, to be fair, he was going against Curtis Silva, whatever.
Sliwa. The guardian angel guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Right?
That guy's a douche.
I mean, what is he? Is he a conservative or what is he?
He is a conservative. Yes, he's on some AM conservative talk show.
He has been for years. It was like
770 or something.
It was him and okay. There was a lawyer. His name was William Kunstler. He passed away years ago, but he had another lawyer who worked with him, Ron Kuby. That's the guy with lawyer with a ponytail, right?
Yeah.
Who is his co-host? Famous lawyer.
Yep.
Yeah.
I used to watch that show. See, unlike most people, I don't stick to one news channel or one talking head. I listen to all of them so I can listen to all the bullshit.
And this is the thing. I think that show was good. I don't know if it's them two together still, but Curtis Sliwa was more more conservative-ish. I didn't know at the time.
He's definitely more conservative. But the problem,
but the guy Ron Kuby, the lawyer, was like a liberal lawyer, like very liberal. Like notoriously liberal lawyer. So, and they literally had a radio show together.
Half the time they were all yelling at each other. It was hilarious.
But that was the thing. Like that doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Well, they do. There is with Crystal and Sagar, I guess, but they don't argue with each other. They agree a lot. Those motherfuckers.
Well, back in the day when you ran for president, whoever won was the president, and whoever lost was the vice president. So you would have a president as whatever, liberal or conservative, and the vice president would be the complete opposite. Because in reality, we're supposed to be working together, people.
When was it that? It wasn't always like your running mate was the vice president?
Hold on. When?
What was the original rules? What was the original rule for vice president? Aside from they take over if the president passes away, because I guess that would be the main reason to have one.
I'm not. Well, first let's see when that was. When?
Because this could go into a whole Kamala Harris fucking, and that could be a segue into topic of today's title. Fucking government shit down. Did it close down again, or was it midnight tonight, or what's happening?
Okay, hold on. I have no idea, but we're gonna get to that. But that's.
Don't get too excited, Ryan. Okay.
Yes. All right. When did the vice president stop going to the second place winner of the election? Let's see. Okay, 1804
was the first vice president. So the first two vice presidents were the losers.
Mm-hmm.
and then it became a running mate, and then two sets of people would run against each
Well,
other.
you
I
would,
guess.
yeah, exactly. But I think it was better. Well, it's so long ago, so how do you know if it's actually better? But it would have to force
Yeah, the
the
country
two
had like
different
nobody living
parties.
here.
You would have to force the two parties. Yes, you were right. Jefferson did get rid of that. Jefferson and John Adams. But
Which John Quincy Adams, number 6, or John Adams, number 2?
it just says John Adams. It doesn't say John Quincy Adams.
Oh, okay.
It just says John Adams. Remember that from Hamilton. That's funny. But I think things would be, you're forcing the two sides to work together. Like it is
Forcing it looks like there's a lot of, yeah, I guess, like, I don't know. It seems like, in a way, and
where is it?
this is just my perception of it, is that it may, like what you're saying is forcing it. I feel like both sides want it that way, to where they are like sort of at odds with each other all the time. Like I think it benefits them.
Divide and conquer.
It benefits them for us to
Divide
be
and conquer.
vulnerable.
So the dipshit this week is technically Representative Bowman. Mr. Bowman allegedly, before the vote to stop the government shutdown, originally I thought he pulled the fire alarm to prevent a government shutdown.
Okay, so this wasn't a metaphor fire alarm. He actually pulled the building fire alarm system.
Here you go. Here's a picture of him doing it. Okay, so they're going to vote to figure it out and stop a government shutdown, and all of a sudden the fire alarm goes off, and they have to evacuate the building, and then they see him pulling the alarm. Now, originally I had thought maybe he did this to actually stop a shutdown. No, he stopped the vote to prevent. He did it to stop the vote to prevent a shutdown. So, hey, dipshit, what are you doing? And to be honest,
that's a crime, is it not?
Yes. First off, you work for you represent the people, and you're supposed to be making a vote to stop a government shutdown. And you're trying to force a government shutdown to make your point for what? To get a point across? What's the point?
If I were a conspiracy theorist, and if I were somebody who was like super like paranoid, I would say this is deliberate sabotage.
100% deliberate.
Not on top of just like the crime of pulling a fire alarm for having the authorities show up to a false alarm, that being a crime. I think interrupting proceedings should be a crime. You know what I mean? And seems a little, maybe, is he a rogue agent? You know what I mean?
Oh, he does look Chinese to me.
The thing is, right, I'm not going to equate this to storming the Capitol or anything like that, because that's just insane. Storming the Capitol was a mess, right? Complete fucking mess.
Pause. I'm going to equate this to storming the Capitol. I'm going to equate the entire government shutdown and the fact that they can't figure shit out to storming the Capitol, because that's the reason why they stormed the fucking Capitol.
That you can, yes.
Maybe it's not because they were a bunch of dumbass hillbilly redneck racists that did it, some of them. But like, maybe you should have stormed the Capitol for reasons like this. This is a reason to storm the Capitol.
They just wanted to see the inside of the building, Mike.
These people no longer work for us. These people don't represent us. They want to send more money to Ukraine. They don't want to help anyone out in this country. They don't do... Okay, Andrew Yang, let's do a universal basic income. The government's like, no, we can't support that. It'll bankrupt us. Let's send another $50 billion to Ukraine. If you honestly think at this point that this government works for you, you are fucking dumb.
My whole thing that really grinds my gears about this is the people.
What grinds your gears?
What grinds my gears about this is that you have people who are like, oh, I want to make a decent living for my family, and I want to have a family, and this working for the government or a government agency is a way that I could support my family, have a retirement, you know what I mean, have a career, a long-standing career, you know what I mean, as long as I do the right thing. And I'd be like, and these people do that. And then when this happens, because of a whole bunch of politicians who don't want to play nice with each other, they could potentially not get paid. Like, what I don't get is how everybody just doesn't get paid. Can't you have, in a government shutdown, just government entities continue moving? It's just what is shut down is the representative side of it. You guys could be stalemate and not get paid for not showing up to work. You guys could do that strike shit, but don't strike upon our behalf because we're still needed to keep the country moving forward. Like all sorts of these, it's like military personnel, all sorts of border shit, all sorts of programs that just literally just stop and cease just because they can't agree on something. And the budget's there for it. The money's there to pay these people.
It's the biggest facade I've ever seen in my life. It's okay. I was talking to my grandmother the other day, and speaking of which, my grandmother goes, "Hey," and keep in mind she's like 70-something years old.
Okay.
She's like, "Hey, do you listen to rap?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can listen to rap. I do." Oh, and she's like, "Oh, I got into rap recently." I'm like,
"Okay."
Okay. She's like, "Do you like Eminem?" Hold on. "Do you like Eminem?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like Eminem." "Yeah, he's a genius." And I'm like, "Yes, Grandma, he's a genius." She goes, "What about Tupac? You see, they finally caught his killer." Like,
she told you about that? She told you about that?
Yes. I mean, I knew about it already, but I'm like, "Who are you?" She goes, "Yeah, I've listened to a lot of rap."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
well, I was like,
Christ.
just as a note to that, because that Tupac shit, it's big news for me. It's big news, being, following this shit since the 90s and just being intrigued by this whole thing and the whole mystery of it all, and not mystery of it all. They definitely had this guy already pinned.
Well, do you know the whole story?
Until recent events confirm that they
claims,
enough evidence for him to be indicted.
He claims he was just in the car. He was just in the car, and he's only claimed that recently because I guess everyone else in the car is currently now dead or in jail or ready for something else. And then once he said that, they put two and two together, pulled up, I guess, some more evidence they had, and now it matches him. And it's like, well, guess what? Whether you actually physically pulled the trigger or not, you're going to jail.
There was a lot of talk that, but they just want to pin it on somebody. He's the only one who's still alive, right? All this shit. And it's he may have not have been the one who did it. But the thing is, I think he may have been the one that pulled the trigger because out of all the conversations about who was in that car, he would have been the one lower on the totem pole who would have been made to pull the trigger.
Yep. Bingo. That's a bingo. Yo. So them shutting down means the U.S. military shut down?
Not necessarily. Not active military personnel, but people who are home and are in certain programs will not get paid, from what I understand.
Yes. Listen, I said something kind of outlandish and radical, and I didn't actually mean it physically. I meant it metaphorically. But I said to a friend, if the government shuts down, each one of them should be brought outside and shot in the face.
Ooh, dude, them's are harsh words.
But like I said, I mean this metaphorically, not literally. But if you have, well, first off, if you could just shut down the government, then why are we still even paying taxes? Like, why are we paying for this to happen? If you're gonna keep sending, that's another thing. If you're gonna keep sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, tens of billions of dollars, $50 billion here and there, why are we still paying taxes? Where's this money? Like, no, stop paying your taxes, everyone. Not really.
That's also not the only place that money gets wasted. But no,
I mean, we fund Ukraine, we fund Israel for some of their defense programs. We fund every military base in the world that's a U.S. military base. We're funding in all these countries. It's not just we're in every country that's like our friend. Basically, we have military bases everywhere.
But aside from even that, let's just look at it this way, politicians don't necessarily make salary-wise on paper a whole lot of money, but they are all put in positions to where they can financially benefit from other things, or when they could also move pieces around, puzzle pieces around in order for them to make more money and all that stuff. So, and benefit from the power of being in office. Now, it may not affect them if they're not getting their paycheck that week or that quarter or whatever because the government shut down for a week or two. But there are people who are paycheck to paycheck who live off of, like working for their money that they make salary-wise by working for the government, who will suffer. Those are the people who suffer. Why shouldn't they not get paid? Shouldn't they be continued? Shouldn't there be a bill put forward to where if the government comes to like a standstill as far as like the House of Representatives or the Senate, if we cannot agree on shit, on budgets or laws or whatever, and the government's going to lock it up, then that just means that House and the Senate. And that's all that fucking means. And it doesn't mean the fucking pencil pushers in office who have to actually, and the Supreme Court is something else, because I think that's a whole load of bullshit too, that because court cases still need to move forward, there should be no such thing as the Supreme Court fucking shutting down either. That should be something that should be like, there's other branches of the government that should still be moving forward. Just because the legislative branch of the government can't fucking agree to do shit,
exactly,
doesn't mean other things should be shut down.
Shut down the legislative branch and don't pay them. Fuck them. Now, listen to this one. Why is my unemployment taxed when my taxes pay for unemployment? Hold on. Why is our income taxed when we're going to get taxed when we spend that income? The people who pay us that income get taxed before they pay us that income, and then the person that pays us before it comes to us gets taxed too. So the money that comes to us is taxed 100 times practically, and then when we spend it, it gets taxed as well. Guess what, everyone? It's a fucking scam.
Now, Mike, when we have conversations like this, I end up saying things that sound like I have a specific diet called libertarianism, right? It's when you like to eat a whole lot of liberty. You know what I mean? And you're actually really intolerant to big government and taxes and shit like that.
So the only reason why I can't be a libertarian, by the way,
why
is deep down a libertarian. No, not the current libertarians, but like if you read like the original people who created libertarianism, they also believe you owned your children and you should be able to kill them if you wanted to because they're your property.
That's OG. That's some crazy shit.
That's OG shit that I can never agree with, obviously.
I'm saying, Mike, I'm Mormon, but I don't wear that white underwear shit.
Yes. Okay. So like
I'm saying, Mike, I'm Muslim, but I don't pray 5 times a day. I'm saying, Mike, I'm Catholic, but I've been divorced 3 times. What I'm saying is that, Mike, I'm Buddhist, but I eat beef every fucking day. I'm just saying. Anyway.
Oh, it's good to be free. No, but
Freedom.
yeah, there was I forgot what government, which politician was trying to pass something called the Fair Tax Act, and it basically was abolishing income tax because he's like, you already get taxed. That money's already taxed before it gets to you. So why are we taxing people that make less money than everyone else and that literally live paycheck to paycheck? You're literally nickel and diming people that have nothing. Yeah. So
do you want to know something? That the state sales tax, most states could just literally just do that. The state that you live in doesn't have to tax you. That's number one.
Yes.
It's because by population, if people spend money, then the state will have enough tax money to cover everything. And the same thing, in a way, goes with federal taxes. None of us have to be. We're pretty much, like you said, paying to have money get sent overseas to fund other shit. Not even military stuff, Mike. Not even just military stuff.
No, of
it's
course.
A whole lot of shit.
But here's another thing. You ready for this? We in this country have the right to own property, right?
Yes.
But
yes.
do we actually own our property? Some people will say, yes, it's my property. Don't step on it or I'll shoot you. And then I'll say, okay, stop paying your taxes on your property. Guess what? The government will take your property. Guess what? You're leasing that land from the government. You don't own shit.
You are definitely what you do when you buy a house, in a sense. Yes, you do. You own the equity of that property. Do you actually own the physical piece in a way, the way you explain it? No, you don't. You don't, because you are in a way, if you rent, right? Now this fucked me up. If when you rent, you're leasing it from the property owner, right? Who themselves probably have a mortgage, maybe several mortgages on several different properties, and they pay property tax, and they're leasing it from the government, as you say, right? Now, that chain of events, right? That happens. That puts you, if you're renting, it's like you're sort of, everything is sublet. Like the government is subletting every piece of space in this country, right? To you, to somebody else, to somebody else, to somebody else. Yes. And you pay your taxes. And it even still, like, even if you pay your taxes, if you live in a community, sometimes there's community dues that you have to pay because there might be a park in your community, or there might be a recreational center in your community that's just for your community. But like, what's cool with that, what I'm not completely like staunch libertarian on, is that when you actually see that money go towards those things and not get sent elsewhere, like when you paid all those taxes in New York and you see potholes every 2 feet on the road and you're like, what the fuck, dude? Or the curb or the concrete or what, these normal things that should be upkept that aren't being upkept, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? This should be like, if you're giving your money to the government and it's like, okay, that's the furthest away from me because there's such a big entity. So it's like, oh, well, I don't know where my money's going because I haven't been to Wyoming. I don't know what the fuck money they're giving to Wyoming, but you know what? I am hearing that the Ukraine's getting billions of dollars of fucking military funding and weapons that are just going to them, and we're paying to have these weapons built. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's what sucks, because it's like none of those things are better. How is that benefiting my community or my state or even my section of the country? How is any of that benefiting the Eastern Seaboard? Sending that much backing to the Ukraine. Is that taps?
We recently lost a great American hero.
Oh, that's why you're playing that. Well, all right, listen. This seems like a common fucking thing that comes up on this podcast, especially when we start talking about the politic, is term limits, and nothing says term limits more than a dead politician who died of natural causes of old age in office. 90 years old, Dianne Feinstein. Rest in peace. But let's be honest.
No business still being in politics. No business still being an elected official. Now, I didn't like her views and the way she voted. She was a stupid fucking liberal.
But she was the first. I think she was like the first female mayor of San Francisco years and years ago, back in the 60s.
Who gives a shit?
And I'm just saying, like, you know, she had some accomplishments. But this is the thing. I don't care about your politics. I do care about your fucking age.
Yeah, well, the problem is how can you make rational decisions if you're a billion years old and out of touch with reality? You think she knows what the common man goes through or common person goes through? No.
I doubt it. She's been disconnected from that.
What was her net worth when she died?
She's 88 million.
88 million? What?
She's been disconnected. She's been disconnected from like true down to earth. And politicians like to play the I'm the people's champion fucking act. But a lot of them are so far removed from the average everyday person that the years, you got to look at it this way. Like, let's just say the last time she was average was probably in the 60s when she got into politics. And even then she was into law. So she went to a good school. You know what I mean? Which means she had to have come from somewhat, because to go to a college, and especially as a woman to go to college back in, like, let's just say she went to college she was born in 1933. She went to college in the 40s and 50s. Post World War II, she was in college. And it might not have been easy for women to get into prestigious colleges back then. She fucking probably aced all of her shit. She had to have some sort of money to pay for that college. And from where?
Her father was San Francisco. She was born in San Francisco. Her father was a surgeon and her mother was a model.
Okay, so it sounds like she came from a little bit of affluenza. And that's the thing. I'm saying, regardless of her achievements, right? It's still like she's so privileged that she just couldn't let go of office. Like, you're 90 years old. What was she doing? What decisions was she making? I doubt any. She was just there because she was there. And we don't need somebody who's there just because they're there. Mitch McConnell, he's just there because he's there. I don't think he's had it or formed his own solid opinion in probably 5 years, 4 or 5 years. He should have tapped out before Trump even became president. Biden too. Biden should have never ran for president this time around. She shouldn't have died in office.
Is he running again? Is that official?
There's an old school. He died when he was 96, still in office. Strom Thurmond, old school, racist, fucking Southern representative. He was 96. Even then, he should have never made it to 96 in office. You should call it quits when everybody else tells you to call it quits. They say, when's retirement age? All right, now they're pushing it up to they're trying to say no retirement until 72, I think.
I said in the last episode, retirement age should be 50. So you get a good 10 years of being still kind of able to move around and active before your body starts falling completely apart.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But
I'm laughing because I'm 8 years away from that. I'm laughing because that would be fucking awesome. The next 8 years, I would just grind and then 50. But they're saying
you're 8 and I'm 12 years away. It's that's crazy. And what it is it's because they don't want to give you Social Security. They don't want to give it to you. So what are they doing with the money if they don't want to give it to you? Is the money not really there anymore? What the fuck are you doing with the money?
There are people who believe it's getting taken from somewhere else, and that money just goes to something, like that. Just it disappears, and the money isn't really
once
there.
got a letter in the mail from Social Security Department or administration that at this point in my life, I earned enough money that if I retired or something happened or whatever, not disability, but whatever it said, I've earned enough to make $400 a month. And I'm like, what am I gonna do with $400 a month?
What's that going to do when you're 72 years old, 40 years from now? Almost 40 years from now.
You would hope by then I would get more than that.
With inflation, and even still, with inflation, adjust that. Let's just say that's $1,400. What's $1,400 going to get you in 2050?
That's not even rent half the time. It's more than half the time. It's not even close to rent for some places.
That's going to be your grocery bill for the week is $1,400. 20 years from now, that's going to be your grocery bill for the week. And that's going to be normal to a normal average working person. If you say, you went to Publix or you went to fucking A&P, how much did you spend? Just average about $14.50. No, $1,400 and $1,450. It's that's what it's going to be because that's how inflation is going. So I don't know, man. It's just it's not meant. It was meant to do something, but it's not going to do that. What it was meant to do. That's what.
Speaking of taxes and money and all this other shit, what are we gonna do with all these fucking immigrants that they're just letting in the border? I
don't know, dude. I literally, I don't notice it down here because everybody's already
Florida's
from.
Not. Yeah,
everybody's already from Latin America down here, so it's I don't notice. It's in New York. You notice because they're having these housing issues, right? They're vacating, they're kicking people. They're kicking people out of buildings.
There you go. Hold on. I gotta go save my daughter, but here you go.
As you know, the Statue of Liberty is inscribed. It says, "Give me your tired,
enjoy this,
your poor, your huddled young masses yearning to be free, the wretched refuse to a teeming shore." And that statement encapsulates our values. We want people to come here, despite where they came from or despite the circumstances that drove them to this country and to this
middle of COVID.
State.
Come on over.
Say you are welcome here. You're welcome with open arms, and we'll work to keep you safe. We'll not only house you, but we'll protect you. So our message to the world is, send us your people, send us those who need the cloak of comfort that we can demonstrate as New Yorkers with big hearts and open arms, and we'll provide a safe haven. We have to let the word out that when you come to New York, you're not going to have more hotel rooms. We don't have capacity. So we have to also message properly that we're at our limit. If you're going to leave your country, go somewhere else. But the smarter thing is to apply for asylum before you leave your country. As you know, the Statue of Liberty is inscribed. It says, give me you're tired, you're poor, you're
I guess this is going to play on a loop now.
The wretched refuse.
Mike trapped me in on this. I thought I was going to get to talk about it after it ended, but instead I'm going to talk over it.
We want people to come here, despite where they came from or despite the circumstances that drove them to this.
Yeah, this is some fucking crazy hypocritical shit.
Say you are welcome here. You're welcome with open arms, and we'll work to keep you safe. We'll not only house you, but we'll protect you. So our message to the world is.
But I guess they had a limit, though. I guess 500,000
that we can demonstrate as New Yorkers with big hearts and open arms.
I guess 500. I guess 500,000 was the limit. Like she meant that for the first 500,000 customers to show up. You're welcome. Everybody else after that's got to find somewhere else to go. This is the thing, like obviously eating your words is a real thing, right? We're watching it happen real time, quicker than ever, because you used to have to wait like a decade for a politician to eat their words. You used to have to wait a decade. Like even like Joe Biden, right? Said a lot of crazy shit back in the 80s and 90s, right?
He was said marriage is only between a man and a woman, not between a man and a man.
Yeah, and he also like all those crack laws and shit like that. Anyway, this is what I'm saying. And now it's like, oh well, look at what you said way back then. So it took like 30 years for someone like him, but Governor of New York, 2 years later, completely different. Like, hey, y'all, you guys can't fucking come here. Like that's fucked up. That's fucked up. And I'll tell you why it's fucked up. It's fucked up because it's like, I don't know if you could use this term, but it's like Indian giving. It's like it's like, listen, it's like, okay, we didn't know this was an invitation. We didn't know you were like just trying to look cool, being like, hey, everybody's invited here, but not expect people to show up. Now you got to fucking do something about it because you promised a whole bunch of people. You actually instigated it. In a way, that's fucking instigating it. In a way, it is sort of saying, hey, come on down and fucking hang out. This is open invitation.
And what are you gonna do with all these people? Oh, we're gonna house them. But what about the homeless in New York that were actually New Yorkers?
This is the thing. This is the thing. With as far as how I feel about New York City and immigrancy, right? Is that New York City should always be an immigrant city, and there should always be a flow of immigrants moving to New York and moving to the United States and assimilating and or bringing their culture with them and becoming Americans and all that shit because it's great. And that's what New York is known for. But there's a limit to the flow of the amount of people and how much could be sustained even by a city as large as New York or anywhere else, because this is not only where it's happening. I think this is happening in several other cities in the country. So, and I mean, like, really, and what I mean, like, I don't really see it down here in Florida because I don't really live in Miami, and Miami's more of like a sanctuary city than it is.
But also, you have a governor that's like, fuck that shit.
But the thing is, there's boats of people. No. What I'm actually saying is that it's a daily. When I moved down here, Cuba. For years before that, people just float up on boats on the regular. This happens all the time. People are being rescued by the beach 6 miles away from me all of the fucking time. People run up on the beach, leave the boat, and 20 people just go scattering. Happens all of the time.
Did you see
this is now it's happening in New York where there's like, but 500,000 people is a lot. Oh yes, the decorations. I see. It looks like a refrigerator behind you.
Basically.
You
But
need some
yes,
magnets in
it
between.
makes so like you're letting all these illegals in, and then you're referring to them as immigrants, not just illegal immigrants, or how do I say, what's the right word? Invasion. You let
Well, they don't have
you,
weapons, so it's not like a full-on invasion. It's not like
come on, bro. This is New York. Anyone in East New York can go get a weapon. Just they can get weapons, please. But like you're not vetting these people. So if I'm like Russia and I want to get like some secret agents or spies into this country, just send them over the border in Mexico and be like, just tell them you're freaking from wherever.
Well, I mean, it's a very real thing that a lot of them are probably not using actual. They're all assumed names. Obviously, you got to look at it this way. You're not coming here. How much paperwork are you coming here with? If you're wading through a river, if you're going through like
all the documents got wet. You got no paperwork. It got wet.
The Panamanian and the Costa Rican jungle, and it's just you in a duffel bag, and you're making your way here from South America. How much actual paperwork do you have? Do you have your actual passport?
Like I said, you have none. It got wet. It's soaked. It got destroyed in the water. I don't know. But
my point is, are you using your name? How many people are not? How many people?
Yeah, that's the thing is you have to vet these people. And I remember when they would make this big deal about they were separating children at the border. Oh my God, they're separating the children from their parents. Oh my God. And then I remember them interviewing someone about it at the border, like one of the Border Patrol agents. And he's like, we had 2 girls and someone that was claiming to be their father. Well, he wasn't their father. He was a fucking sex trafficker. And he was bringing the girls into America. This is why we separate them from the parents, because they're not their fucking parents. It's not always the case. Some people do come in with their family looking for a better life. But
human trafficking. Right now to go on this, because I think this goes with it too. I'm not sure if it's Polk County, Florida, that has that like sheriff that fucking goes viral because he's like a no nonsense sheriff from Florida.
Yeah, I think so.
That police jurisdiction busted up like some serious human trafficking fucking ring. Something like 22 people were arrested.
Good.
And like,
get them all.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like that's usually tied in to like this issue with the flood of refugees and stuff like that. Because trust me when I tell you, if there are 500,000 people, right, that claim they need help, and 400,000 people of them are truly, truly in need of help, do I think that 400,000 people do not deserve reprieve or help or some sort of charity? Of course they deserve it. Just as to be human would be the only right answer is to give them relief. But 400,000 people, but the 100,000 people who might be into some nefarious fucking shady shit that might be smuggling people as livestock or might be themselves smuggled in as livestock, I have like a huge issue with, because nobody should be brought in under those conditions.
Instead of giving Ukraine $50 million for a war they're going to lose, put $50 billion into the border and safety, and also put that money not only into protecting the border and making sure no one crosses over illegally, but also put that money into vetting those that do want to come here and make sure they actually have the right reasons to come here and they're not cartel members or gang members or spies from other countries or terrorists. Hold on. What happened to the threat of terrorism? What, like, there's people just coming in. We gotta help them. What happened to the threat of terrorism? Are you fucking kidding me?
That does seem like something that was soon forgotten, right? In the last like maybe 3 years.
9/11 was not that long ago. Well,
hold on a second. Believe it or not, I don't think the border gets defunded any year to year. I think it's always more money and more money is gone there every year. I think the argument is to send more than that over. I don't think the border's ever been defunded.
I didn't say it was defunded. I'm saying instead of giving 50 billion to Ukraine, put 50 billion into border protection and making sure both borders have the proper vetting system to get the people that need to be here.
I'm saying building Iron Man suits.
Wow.
Which they're doing already anyway. They already have exoskeleton suits for soldiers, so they could lift things. Like they could literally lift 200-pound loads with their arms and squat without a problem, holding like this 200 pounds. And they're really, it's just like a bar that goes on the outside, and there's a backpack, and there's also strapped to your legs, and you could jump and shit. Like they have it. That's what they should have. They should have. There's no reason why we shouldn't have like
a wall.
We don't. Speaking about a wall, have you heard how wild fucking Trump has been getting lately at a lot of these fucking rallies?
No, I haven't.
Didn't I send you? I could have sworn I sent you a reel of fucking Trump.
Okay, hold on. Well, before we get to the reel, I want to get to one thing real quick. We'll get to that. I just want to do one thing real quick. So apparently, Targets are closing throughout New York and several other New York State and several other states. They're closing because theft, because they can't control the people, because people are allowed to just come in, steal whatever they want, and leave. We need to bring back the Asians on the rooftops, the Koreans on the rooftops.
Do you mean like from the riots, from the LA riots?
No one fucked with their businesses because they were on the rooftops with machine guns.
So you're saying Target should hire Korean shop owners from Los Angeles as security for Targets across the country?
Yes. And I am saying, yes, you should shoot a fucking shoplifter.
You think shoplifters should get shot?
Yes. I think they should be executed on the street. But here's the thing.
That's a hot take.
Hold on. You ready? If they're stealing food, no, don't shoot them. They're stealing because they're hungry, maybe.
Merchandise.
Unless they're carrying only porterhouse steaks out, or then they're just being a greedy piece of shit.
But other merchandise.
But like if you're walking out with 25 Gucci bags, or not, Target doesn't have Gucci bags, but you know what I mean. Like if you're walking out with something that you're clearly going to resell, or you're just being a prick, you're getting shot in the fucking face.
Okay, I have a question for you then.
Or take their fingers. Take their fingers. Take their hands.
All right. How about this? I sort of half agree with you. I don't. Like Saudi Arabia, right? Like they take a hand in Saudi Arabia. So, how about this? Would you settle for all shoplifters get tased and humiliated? Like you get publicly humiliated for shoplifting.
Okay. I'll only accept that if you get
for non-food items. I'm down with the non-food items. The non-food items, I'm sort of down with, and I'll tell you why. Because food often gets thrown out. So in a way, you're sort of expressing inventory that would probably normally get tossed after the shelf life is done or something if the whole pallet doesn't get sold. Like I agree with that. But I think it would be far more entertaining and far more humiliating and actually more of a deterrent because some people, you're still going to get the thrill robbers. People who love the adrenaline of running away from gunshots who will rob and still run. But they'd be less likely to I have to experience that sensation over and over and over again every time. And I have to be paraded around and humiliated every time I get caught stealing. It might be more of a deterrent because you see.
Here's how I think you should be humiliated. You should be tased until you shit your pants and then forced to walk 3 miles.
All right. Now you're talking. See, or tased if you don't have a crap on deck, then at least tased until you piss yourself.
It's simple.
Good enough.
I really like to execute them on spot, but I'll settle with the tasing.
I mean, the tasing is funny, dude. It's entertainment for everybody, and you know what? It's like it'll bring back, like in movies like Robin Hood. You'd see like they'd be in fucking the town or like the village, and somebody will come out like the guy's caught, and he's about to be hung. And you'll see somebody out from the crowd go, "Oh, say something like sort of snarky to the person who's about to die." Somebody would just come out, like some little old lady would be like, and say something nasty, and then go back into the crowd. It'll bring that culture back of just standing. You're not watching an execution, but you're just watching somebody get tased until they lose their continence.
Wow. All right, let me see if I can find these things you sent me because I have to switch profiles on this thing, and it's not letting me.
I think there was some Trump. What? Okay, just I think like what I remember from it, the one that I sent you was Trump was pretty much saying what he wanted to do as a plan was like the plot of Joanna Man, right? But with like, but with LeBron James, and Steph Curry. I don't know if I'm doing it justice, but that's not the only thing. I've been seeing a lot of his recent rallies, and I think he's trying to be somewhat of a stand-up comic, at least. At least it just appears like he's.
I mean, he always
he's
had
doing
that
He's doing crowd work.
kind of thing about
He's
him.
pretty much
Joe
just
Rogan
like.
said that too. Joe Rogan said like, "Oh, he's basically he's like a comic. Let's see, log in. Let's go. Let's see. Come on, loading."
But even more so with a lot of these bits, because they're all like a minute and a half of like some of these. I don't know how long the speeches. I'm pretty sure he gives like long ass speeches, right? Like he goes on a rant for like an hour and a half or 2 hours in front of people, right?
Yeah, he does.
Like a bunch of farmers or something like that, and they're all like just laughing. Like the audience is like it's. I think this is it.
Presidential business, get out of the real estate business. I'm going to become a basketball coach of women, and I'm going to get him and 4 or 5 other guys to transition. And we are going to have the greatest basketball team in history. We will be undefeated forever.
Okay. He is the greatest troll on the planet. He's not wrong. Like, yo, if me and you, like, you want to start a career in MMA?
Yeah.
Let's become females. Let's start identifying as females. We have to change nothing about our appearance. Forget that. You don't have to do that anymore. We'll just identify as female, and I'll be a good 135er. And I don't know, is there?
I don't know if that would work so much in fighting.
Well, UFC won't allow it.
No, what I'm saying is like I believe that if you have a like at least like an average, not good, average, somebody who has 2 disciplines, mixed martial arts fighter versus a themselves maybe average, maybe a little bit above average female, same weight, 145 to 145, 135 to 135, 125 to 125, even matchup weight-wise, right? I do think, like there might be somewhat of a challenge back, but in that sport, in other sports like basketball, there's a wider gap of just elite expertise.
Yeah, hold on though. Okay. This is gonna sound funny, I think, but I feel if I can make the 135 weight anymore, which is kind of hard because I'm much more than that than I used to be, which I used to compete at 135s. I think I can beat most 135ers, female.
Yeah, most. I believe that too.
I can kick you a lot harder than you can kick me.
But what about an elite, like, yo, like...
No, I'm talking about UFC elite fighters.
I'm saying, do you think you could take Valentina Shevchenko?
Okay. I don't think so.
Amanda Nunes at $135.
No.
There are some that are a no. Like, right? I believe that.
Okay, mainly because
I believe you could do it to the roster. I think you could burn through the whole roster.
Valentina.
I'm sure you can burn through the whole roster, but you'll get to like the final 3, and you might have a fucking problem.
See, the problem, the problem I would have with Valentina is the grappling. She's a judo black belt and a jiu-jitsu black belt. So she could just throw my ass down. I know how judo is. Yes. Amanda Nunez hits like a man. So not to say that in any weird way because people get offended. What do you mean?
She's got hands, dude. She's got fucking hands.
But like everyone else, like I remember when I was training, and I don't want to talk shit because not that anyone I've ever trained with watches this show. But
you think you take Ronda? You think you take Ronda?
Yeah, I can take Ronda. Here's the problem.
That's only because
okay.
That's only
ready for
because
this?
she doesn't have hands. She doesn't have hands.
She gets me down. It's over. My armbar defense in general is not that good. It's not that good. But I have a feeling that when she's coming in to close the distance, I'm elbowing her so hard in her fucking face that she's gonna fall down.
She does have a little bit of a glass jaw.
Yeah,
she does have a little bit of a glass jaw.
Now, I trained with a girl who was allegedly.
We're talking about Mike beating up women.
I know. So I trained with a girl. I trained with a girl, a woman, not a girl, a woman, who was an amateur MMA fighter, and she won almost all her fights by taking the person down and beating them up.
Okay.
So I'm training with her, and we're training takedowns, and she keeps taking me down.
Okay.
My coach goes, "Hey, Mike." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Stop letting her take you down. She needs to practice for this fight. Make it hard for her." And I look at my coach and I go, "If I make it hard for her, she's never taking me down." And he's like, "That's kind of the point." And I'm like, "Okay." And
so what did you do?
She never took me down. And like I would smash her. She's same weight as me. She was undefeated. I would smash her. I mean, like literally, like Khabib. How Khabib would fight people and how he would ragdoll them, I would be able to do that to her. She's in the same weight class as me. She was maybe a little smaller than me, but not much.
So my question is, when you're training, right, and let's just say you're sitting in and rolling with somebody, or you're just working on just general. I guess you guys are just generally.
Well, this was MMA training, so it was ground and pound takedowns.
She was working on her takedown, and you were like, okay. So my question is, right? Do they usually tell you to pull your punches if you're if you're not the one training to fight?
You're not gonna. First off, you're not in. If you're training with your teammate, you're not gonna throw punches like crazy punches anyway.
Right. Just as a courtesy.
Yeah. Well, in general, you're not. Right. You're gonna go. The biggest rule that I always tell people in sparring.
But would your trainer tell you to turn the volume up? Like she's like, no, give her a problem. Like
that was with grappling, not punching her though. That was with grappling.
No, I know. I'm just saying when I said pulling your punches, I just meant that in a general sense as to how much effort you were giving in your attack against her or your defense against her.
Yes. And basically like what I always used to tell people, or what coaches would tell me is, or during a sparring thing, they say out loud, only hit the person as hard as you want to get hit. Okay. So like if the person is throwing bombs at me, I'm gonna throw a bomb back. To be like,
or,
hey,
as hard as you're willing to get hit is how I would. Yeah.
Well, like if you're trying to light spar and all of a sudden the guy's throwing bombs at you, you better defend yourself or throw a bomb back and be like, hey, bro, tone it down a little. Now, like on the reverse side of that, I was helping another guy, and a guy, not a girl, train for a fight, and we were training takedowns, and his specialty was also taking you down, and I could not stop him from taking me down. I couldn't. I just couldn't.
Was good. He's good.
And my coach was like, "Hey, Mike, you got to defend those." And I'm like, "I'm trying."
I'm trying.
But I also didn't like we were starting off already with him wrapping his arms were already around me, and I'm like, I would prevent that from happening. He goes, "No, you got to work from there." I'm like, But he was good. That's what his like. I went to 2 of his fights, and both fights he got his ass kicked standing up. But once he took the guy down, the fight was over. Like I remember I was sparring.
I mean, listen, dude, that's the age-old fucking argument is that's how you if you need to end a fucking fight, it's on the ground. Otherwise, even with people who are good fucking boxers, good pugilists, good fucking kickboxers, you are going to tire the shit out of yourself standing on your feet fighting.
Yeah. Like I sparred with him.
Realistic sense.
legit sparring, not legit sparring, but sparring with him because he's prepping for a fight.
Yeah.
And like standing up, I was like, wow, I could stand with this guy and he's an amateur fighter. I could literally stand with him. I'm doing not bad. I'm cutting angles, getting the right angles on him. But the second he went in for a takedown, I was fucked. I was like, this is
Not
so
a
awesome.
shot.
But it was still awesome because I was like, wow, I'm standing with this guy. And the reverse side of that, I was sparring one day and I was sparring with a guy in a cage because they had a cage in this gym. It was kind of awesome that they had a cage. And like stand up, I was getting my ass kicked. I got my bells rocked so many times. I was like, this is not fun. My coach is like, what's going on with you, bro? You got to keep him away and blah, 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 blah. But I kept getting yelled at. You know the bicycle kick or the elliptical kick that John Jones uses where you kick like right above the knee to keep the person away from you?
Yes.
I am really good at that because I saw it happen and I trained it. I saw John Jones using it. I saw Benson Henderson using it. And I'm like, I'm going to train this kick over and over and over until I'm really good at it. So I got really good at it. And now they frown upon that because you could apparently injure the knee. But I don't know what's different than getting kicked on.
I think what I think is I heard that John Jones kick is that it could knock your fucking kneecap out of the socket.
You can hyperextend the knee.
Yeah,
but it's not any different than getting kicked. But Muay Thai kicked on the side of the knee. But so I was throwing that kick and I was doing much better.
It's all bad. No matter how you slice it, like any sort of kick to the knee, any sort of trauma to the knee. Fucking sucks.
So I was using that, and I was using it a lot, and it was working. He couldn't defend it, and the coach was like, "Stop throwing that. That's dirty. Stop throwing that." I'm like, "Stop throwing that. It's really all I got with this kid standing up."
Yeah, it's not an actual.
He was a Taekwondo guy, so he's like throwing all these crazy kicks at me, and I'm like, the only way I could defend it is just doing that. So it's
sparring, and it's not an actual fight. That's why, because like if. You know what I mean?
I wasn't throwing it hard though. If I wanted to throw it hard, I could hurt him. I wasn't throwing it hard, but like I was getting dazed. I was getting rocked, and I was like, "This is not fun." So then he goes, "All right, we're done with the street kickboxing and stand up. Let's switch to MMA. Switch to MMA gloves. Switch to MMA." I'm like, "Okay, let's see what this kid got." So I would close the distance so fast so he couldn't kick me, and I was ragdolling him, and I was like, "This is great."
When you have that to your advantage, like in that situation.
See, I was always good at. Like it's old style Randy Couture dirty boxing, closing the distance, clinching you, grabbing you, punching you as I'm clinching and getting you down, dragging you down, not
elbows
doing a double,
elbows too,
not doing a single leg, not doing a double leg, but using a knee tap, which was Dominic Cruz kind of thing, where you literally just hook the knee and pull them down. It's so easy to do. It works so well. You could just ragdoll people that aren't expecting it, and most people aren't expecting it because it's not a very well known or practiced takedown. So that's when I started to shine in that spar. But I got my ass kicked in stand up. So then I guess in an aspect of that, he probably could have also beat every 135 female.
Yeah, I mean, like.
but okay, back to Trump. He's basically trolling here because he's saying all we gotta do is transition to take over women's sports. Let's transition to female.
Make the legendary John Wooden into just a little asterisk.
Wow.
I would like to meet with.
Wow. He's just a troll. Trump is just a.
He's not like usually like, and this is what I remember like as a kid growing up. You know, like you would see like election season would roll around, right? Just like sort of close out the political dipshittery that's going on. That is the title of the episode today. So, and I remember growing up and seeing like people holding political rallies that were just like all really wholesome and about the issues and about the people. And like, nobody would ever drop an F bomb, say shit, say fucking cunt, whatever. Nobody. And then I think maybe a couple of times, like maybe Obama might have said like a curse word just to really connect, and like somebody told him to do it, and like, oh, say shit, Barack, just say shit. Like you're going to connect with these people, and he probably did. But until Trump, now it's no holds fucking barred. He says the craziest fucking shit that you'd see at like a political rally. And the thing is, a lot of the debates have been going on, right? Did you see the Republican debates?
I am okay. I haven't
watched them. I know they're happening.
I am totally checked out on politics. I am done with all of them. I hate every single one of them. I hope they all rot in hell. That's it.
But the main theme in these fucking debates is Trump's not here. And I'm saying, I was like, you sort of don't want him there because if he's there, y'all are fucked. It is going to be like literally a standing roast for 8 people.
Well, did you see Ron DeSantis went on Bill Maher?
Yeah, and he was like, "You wouldn't. What was that? You wouldn't be here if your campaign was going well. You wouldn't be here. Let's be honest." I mean, he's not wrong. Bill Maher, listen, Bill Maher could be himself a little bit like self-righteous, but he's not wrong a lot. Like he tries to think. He tries to think.
Not. He's a liberal, but he's not a dirty liberal. He's not a woke. Like everyone gave him shit.
Classic liberal.
Everyone gave him shit because he talks shit about the wokeness and whatnot, but he's not wrong.
Yeah, it's getting a little excessive.
100%. But shit, I forgot what I was just gonna say. Oh, so this person, Hiddleston said, I would tell them choke me harder. So the same guy I was talking about before, who was a really good grappler, the one who was really good grappler. One time, I take him down. I get like in a side control one position, and he lays the biggest fart in the world. And I'm like, I get up, and I go, "What the fuck?" He goes, "You're not supposed to get up, bro." I'm like, "No, I'm done. You stink, bro. You stink."
Yeah, you're always running the risk, Roland, of like I'm sure, dude. Honestly, like I went to the movies the other day, and there's an ATT. Like another ATT in this like sort of movie theater strip mall like sort of area. You see everybody training and stuff like that, and I literally thought that these guys are rolling. Do you know how many people are just farting, like throwing a kick, fart, like everybody in the gym, dude, hitting the heavy bag. I'm farting. I'm hitting that heavy bag, and I'm farting all the time, dude. I'm throwing kicks and farts, jabs and farts. So people are definitely getting farts squeezed out of them rolling around like jujitsu.
So do you remember this by any chance?
The correspondence with Trump, yes, when he disses Trump and then Trump becomes president, yes.
Well,
the ultimate revenge.
Just.
Anyway, as always, I want to close on a more serious note. I often joke about tensions between me and the press, but honestly, what they say doesn't bother me. I understand we've got an adversarial system. I'm a mellow sort of guy.
I just want to point out something quickly. He's talking shit about the press, that has issues with the press. What did Trump also say? And then everyone attacked him for it. The press isn't fair. The press is this. The press is that. And they're like, he's just against the free speech. Well, look, the press has always been the problem.
And that's why I invited Luther, my anger translator, to join me here tonight.
Oh, yeah.
FYI, for a while, I was rewatching all of Key and Peele.
Key and Peele, yeah. Me and the wife are about to do it. We're going to marathon through it.
Oh, it's so funny. Yeah. Key and Peele is so funny.
Dude, all time,
God.
I feel after like getting back into, because I watched it a little bit when it was aired on Comedy Central, like as it was on television, and I watched dozens of episodes, right? I didn't watch all of it, but we want to now. Very underrated.
Very underrated.
As far as like,
I never watched it when it was on Comedy Central. I watched it when they moved it to Hulu or whatever it was on, and I binged it. And I'm like, this is fucking awesome.
I could even say it's not even just top 5, like best sketch comedy. It could be top 3.
Yeah, 100%. Chappelle Show, Key and Peele, and maybe like Mad TV.
Well, I liked Mad TV. Kids in a Hall back in the day was really funny.
Well, The Hall with in Living Color. I mean?
In Living Color.
That's got to be top 3.
That's got to be top 3 for fucking sure. Yeah.
I love his face.
Hold on to your lily white butts.
In our fast-changing world, traditions like the White House Correspondents' Dinner are important.
I mean, really? What is this dinner? And why am I required to come to it? Jim Bush,
Because despite our differences, we count on the press to shed light on the most important issues of the day.
And we can count on Fox News to terrify old white people with some nonsense. Sharia law is coming to Cleveland, rocking the damn hills. Y'all's ridiculous.
We won't always see eye to eye.
Oh, and CNN, thank you so much for the wall-to-wall Ebola coverage. For 2 whole weeks, we were one step away from the Walking Dead. And then y'all got up and just moved on to the next thing.
Kind of like they did with COVID.
Yeah, a lot.
Except not 2 weeks. It was 2 years, but
Oh, and by the way, just if you haven't noticed, you don't have Ebola.
the thing about this that made me so like love it even more is I liked Obama, and he keeps a straight face throughout it.
Yeah, do you think they rehearsed this?
100%. 100%.
Yeah. All right.
100%.
But I still deeply appreciate the work that you do.
Y'all remember when I had that big old hole in the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico, and then I plugged it? Remember that? Which Obama's Katrina was that one? Was that 19 or what was it 20? Because I can't remember.
Protecting our democracy is more important than ever. For example, the Supreme Court ruled that the donor who gave Ted Cruz $6 million was just exercising free speech.
Yeah, it's the kind of speech like this. I just wasted $6 million.
And it's not just Republicans. Hillary will have to raise huge sums of money too.
Oh, yeah. She gonna get that money. She gonna get all the money. Khaleesi is coming to Westeros.
Full disclosure, those who don't know, she lost.
Yeah, she did.
She lost.
This is 2015. Was this 2015?
It might be 2014. I don't know.
Oh,
I
shit.
I forgot. But she lost, and she did deserve to lose. And anyone who thought she was going to win and was celebrating to possibly have the first woman president is a fucking idiot. Because to be honest, I honestly think Trump would have been better than her no matter what. I didn't want Trump to win. I voted for Gary Johnson, but Hillary is the most corrupt and worst possible pick for president in history, except for maybe. Nope, I think that's it.
Do you think she's a CIA plant?
No way.
No.
No.
You don't think you don't think like the CIA is gonna like pick the next president, pretty much, or has the next president?
I don't think they have to. I don't think they have to. They proved with Kennedy, if you talk shit about them, you're gonna die. So,
Yeah, but they pretty much like sort of like put like Bush in, Bush Senior at least.
I mean, to be honest, too, Trump didn't die. They didn't try to kill Trump. I mean, obviously he didn't die, but they didn't try to.
Nobody tried to kill Trump.
Nobody.
I
don't know.
Do you know how because they said this they might have been assassination attempts, or at least conspiracy to assassinate presidents before. You find out years later, oh yeah, well actually they tried to kill, I don't know, let's just say Carter, they tried to kill him 10 times, but they were unsuccessful because the Secret Service apprehended or we found intelligence saying that we ended up getting it before any plans went forward. So do you think not one person tried? Even some retarded fucking neckbeard internet fucking
people try, of course. I mean, they probably
QAnon motherfucker, some QAnon fucking nut,
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of QAnon nuts and whatnot, I don't know if you knew about this because they kind of were very hush hush about it, but surprised. I think Joe Rogan. Oh, wrong button. God damn it! What's going on here?
God damn it!
Okay. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? They were acquitted. They were acquitted.
This is the lady who. Okay, she was the governor that was kidnapped. I remember.
No, she wasn't
Yes.
kidnapped. They were plotting to kidnap her. They never
Plotting
kidnapped
to
her.
kidnap her.
Hold
Okay.
on. Do you know? I want all three of our viewers to understand this for a second. All 500,000 of you watching us currently to understand this. So the three men were acquitted in the trial because in this investigation there were 15 undercover FBI agents, and during the investigation, actually after the investigation, they arrested them for plotting to kidnap the governor, and they went to court. And in court, they discovered that, well, there was 15 undercover agents involved. So who actually plotted to kidnap the governor? Was it the three guys or the 15 undercover agents who found these three idiots and basically convinced them to help them plot a plan to kidnap the governor?
So was there in itself like
in other words,
and
the FBI
infiltrated themselves
and tried to kidnap
and the end result of them infiltrating themselves, like in some sort of Inception undercover sting, right?
Yeah,
like
well,
Inception
yes.
undercover sting, right?
A plot
And
inside of a plot.
they infiltrated themselves, in which that act of infiltrating themselves caused them to plot against the United States of America or the state of Michigan, the governor of the state of Michigan. That's what happened.
Well, no.
So the three men acquitted would have never, ever had these FBI agents not like sort of set this shit up. They would have never, ever thought to try to kidnap the governor, right? Like, let's presume.
So
they wouldn't.
There's a very big difference between me and you going, hey, metaphorically speaking, I think all these politicians that can't vote on this government shutdown,
right,
should be taken out and shot. It's metaphorically speaking. That should happen, metaphorically speaking.
What's the metaphor for?
They should probably be fired or not. They're not doing their job.
Okay. Yeah. I gotcha. Okay. Yes.
So there's a big difference between that and then the FBI coming in and going, hey guys, what's up? We heard you want to take the politicians out and shoot them. Well, no, we didn't mean that seriously though. But well, you want to help us plan it? Not really, no. But there's lots of money to be made here. Maybe then to make money. I don't know how that actually thing happened, but I was just what
I thought happened was the three people who were indicted were like themselves all FBI agents who were like sort of coerced and like they were like just like on some like, you know, like the cops from Cheech and Chong movies, you know what I mean? Like sort of some FBI is a bunch of bumbling idiots kind of thing. You know, I mean, that's what it sounds like. Like, it sounds like the whole thing got so convoluted that.
Well, apparently, they did convict 9 of them.
Okay, so there were actual people who wanted to kidnap her.
Yeah, it was.
That was my question.
It was. Let's see. How many undercover agents? How many? And type.
Because you said like they come from 3 different directions, like.
So there were the FBI deployed 12 informants and several undercover agents. So once again, if you have all these people in there, who's plotting to kidnap the governor? Like, you ever heard the history of the DeLorean car?
Yes.
Like, the owner was arrested for some bullshit, but it was actually entrapment, and he shouldn't have actually went to jail.
Should have never went to jail. Yes.
Like, the FBI or whoever went to him and said, "Hey, we know your company's kind of going out of business. It's not really making as much money as you hoped, and you're in debt. So help us transport these illegal things in your shipment containers with your cars, and we'll pay you lots of money." And he said, "Well, I have no other options. I'm running out of money, and I'm going bankrupt." And he said, "Okay."
They caught him in a desperate situation, and that happened quick. Like, if you know like the history of the DeLorean car, like that was all the shit was promised for it, and it was like a piece of shit. and he lost a lot of money really quick and a lot of investors really quick, and everybody back away. And at that very time, that's when they came in and did that
they
to him.
came to him. It's not like he didn't go to them.
Yes.
They came to him. So
Yes.
it's like, why is the FBI going to people that aren't criminals and trying to make them criminals? And then at the same time, that's what I think they were trying to say happened here as well. It's like you had people, these people were all like, as they would call them, patriots. They're all part of like an organization of like whatever's.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily criminals. You're just a bunch of people that, want to pretend you're a militia. Well, then you put some FBI agents in there to keep edging them on to make them worse and worse. And then eventually they start going, okay, you're right. We have to step this up a notch. Talking about it's not enough. And then one of them's like, hey, I know I just got part of this group because I'm FBI, but like, hey, maybe if we kidnap a governor or someone important, we'll get our point across. And they're like, that's a great idea.
Well, look at it this way, Mike. It's not far-fetched for a government entity or a agency to have, like sort of plans and programs put in play that create monsters. Like MK Ultra. You know what I mean?
I was just gonna say we have to put together
fucking Whitey Bulger, Charles Manson, a whole bunch of people who were fucking involved with this shit.
We should do that.
Just on MK Ultra?
No, just conspiracy in general. Like, like maybe we split up the days. Maybe like Sunday nights we do conspiracies, and then or Sunday nights we do
Conspiracy Sunday,
dipshit of the week. What time we do the normal ones, and then Wednesdays we do some reaction videos and reactions to conspiracies. I don't know, whatever works.
Wednesday conspiracy
Reaction Wednesday, and do conspiracies. Yo, I was watching some of Broken Simulation with Sam Tripoli.
Okay,
I have limits, and for some reason, I just don't like someone that has less, like almost no limits.
He thinks of a lot of far out there shit.
But he's very informative with the ones that I like.
He does a lot of research on all of them though. He really looks through all of that shit.
Like I remember, if you're still with us, Mr. Zeet is it Z? How would you pronounce that?
Let's see,
Mr. Zeet, Zeddy,
Zeddy, Zeddy,
Mr.
Zeta 89, Mr. Zeta.
So
Zeta, Zeddy.
There's similarities. This is another conspiracy that I'm putting together in my head that I talked about already in the show. But there's a lot of similarities with all these UFO stories and the stories of these beings being sighted, the little beings with 3 fingers.
Yes.
That were in the they discussed them briefly or touched on it a little bit in that thing when they testified before Congress. But that story connects to the Kentucky story of the Goblin case. And that story is weird too because it's a family.
You love that story
because it's so
it's like it. I think I keep calling it Appalachian Chupacabra, right?
Yes,
Appalachia
but like
Appalachia,
and they call it
Appalachia.
They call it the Kentucky Goblin case, but they weren't goblins. The description sounds like aliens, and like the reason why I keep bringing that up is these people who weren't drug addicts by any means, no criminal record, were known in the town and respected in the town. They weren't like lowlives. They were hicks, but they weren't lowlives. They all witnessed this thing, and they shot at it because it terrified them.
But no body.
Well, they did. I don't think they hit it. And they all had the same story. So I can't say I disbelieve them. And then you have that story connected to these other stories that it's so, I don't know. It's all connected. One day we're going to find out the truth. Zeddy, is it Zeddy? Mr. Zeddy? That's the second one. How can you say the second one when this is delayed? This is the second. I don't know what the second thing I said was.
You said a lot of things.
I know.
I couldn't tell you what the 100th thing you said was.
Hold on, let me see. Is it Z-E or is it Zeet?
Zeet?
I
Is
can't-
there
it won't
like,
even-
could you type it phonetically?
Or is it Z? I'm trying to. Or is it Z?
With like the long E line on top?
I just well, I don't have to do that. Oh, you can't see, can you? I wrote.
I can't see.
This one is
Z-I-E.
Z-E. That's Z-E.
Z-E. Z-E.
This is maybe not.
ZD.
No, ZD.
Z-T.
Zeet.
Z.
Or
Z.
Zet.
Z.
We're spending way too much time on this.
I'm fucking curious. I want to know because like, or maybe it's like an acronym for something. I don't know. Zet. Zet.
Did
Z.
Did you watch Rogan and it? Which one was it? Maybe I don't remember anymore. I'm tired. We've been going almost 2 hours. Jesus.
Yeah, man. And we started late too.
Oh, that's why. Oh no, yeah, you're right. That's even why it's later than.
Yeah.
I can't even talk. Jesus. So I guess it's that time.
Time for the tunnel. It's tunnel time. It's tunnel time, everybody. This tunnel goes out to you, Zet or Zeet.
Jesus.
Or Zeddy.
Tunnel time, everyone.
Tunnel time. Tunnel time. Time for Zeet.
Zeet.
Or Zeddy.
Tunnel time, everyone.
Tunnel time.
Zeddy. That's Zeddy. Zetty. Zetty. It's right there. He wrote it. I can't share.
Wednesdays and Sundays at 9. Zetty. Wednesdays and Sundays at 9. Zetty. Wednesdays and Sundays at 9. Zetty. Wednesdays and Sundays at 9. Zetty.